Hello again, and welcome to part 2 of the Bronycon video with me, Caleb Rodriguez.
Me, Lauren Klein.
Otherwise known as Fremenkind.
And Kage Pony.
To our internet friends. Okay, so this is the part of the video where we actually talk about Bronycon. The last video, and our videos, depending on how we divided it up, was all about our bus trip there.
Yes.
So this is the nitty gritty. You might have missed some of the exposition about what's going to be going on in this, but we'll try to keep it fairly episodic.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we show up at Bronycon the first day. We've missed a lot of stuff. We got there late because the bus was 10 hours late.
Yeah.
So,
it's like 5, 6 p.m. by the time we get to Bronycon.
So really, we didn't get to see most of like the things going on there.
Yeah, we missed an hour with Lauren Faust. We missed musicians in the morning. We missed a bunch of the cool events that went on the first day.
So the main thing that we did when we got there is we got some food and we talked to a lot of cool Brony people, and then we watched the Bronycon auction, in which they sell a whole bunch of Brony-related merchandise for obscene amounts of money. So you got like $300 plushies and pictures and glasses and paraphernalia for like several $100s. And all the money went to this organization called Child's Play, which provides toys for kids. And their goal was $2,000. But that kind of got blown out of the water, because within the first couple things, they reached their goal.
Had already reached 1,000, not that many things. And then they just kept going, and they had reached that way before it ended.
The last item sold was this giant picture. It was actually really cool. It was a picture of like the whole cast of the show, all the characters, signed by everyone who works with the show.
Everyone in Studio DHX, all the voice actors and actresses, all the writers, all their team, all their OCs were on there. Everyone, like at Hasbro, everyone, their signature was on this picture, this framed picture.
Yeah, except for Lauren Faust.
Yes.
Who came up on stage
during the auction
while this thing is being auctioned off and signs it
right
at the top, right there in front of everyone, which blew this thing through the roof. And remember how their like target goal was $2,000? This thing sold for like over
$4,200.
Yeah, twice their goal in one thing.
They ended up raising $8,000 plus at this auction, and all of it went to charity.
Which is why the Brony fandom is the best fandom.
I don't understand how people can.
So this was the end of BronyCon, pretty much. The BronyCon for that day. There was going to be another day, but this is the end of that day's BronyCon. The only thing left was at 10 o'clock at night.
9 o'clock at night.
9 o'clock.
And it went until 2 in the morning, and this was...
So we waited outside until 9. We were all in this big line of people all waiting for this thing called Bronypalooza, which is 4 hours of... 4 hours? Or 5 hours of Brony musicians. Live. And some of these guys had never met in person before, and they're all playing together.
Now, all these people, the first half was acoustic, and the second half was electronic. Now, all these
By acoustic, we mean just they're actually up there playing music, not like making something on their computer.
Yeah.
They're like playing instruments. They were electric instruments. Brond.
Yeah, God, Brond.
Okay.
But yeah, and so now you have to realize so many of these people, like Beetle Brony was there, and they had never met each other before, let alone performed live. Okay, so
never performed together, not live. They'd never even like performed their song. Probably like they never had to perform their song in the first take, because you get it perfect.
They all recorded
and then
they sent their parts to.
But they did very well.
Yes.
The acoustic portion was fantastic, and we watched it like a concert.
Nayslayer was there. Some guy with the mandolin. No, it wasn't Mando Pony.
It wasn't Mando Pony, but it was some guy with a mandolin. It was all very good. That was fun, but that was nothing compared to the electronic portion. First, before the electronic portion happened, they had Laser Pone 3, or Laser Pony, or however it's pronounced.
Yeah, Laser Pone 3 got up there, and they don't call him Laser Pone 3 for nothing. He made this fantastic, gorgeous little laser show that was... It was awesome. It was just like, it started out with Final Scratch saying like, let's go or something, and then told like a story set to music.
Yeah, it told like Luna's story of being on the moon set to music. Then they had Beyond Her Garden.
Yes.
With set to like this laser light show.
And it was really
And you have to understand, the lasers create this image on the wall. It's an image that's a 3D image made out of lasers. It's not literally 3D, but you know what? You get the picture. It's like superimposed on the wall and moving around. It's animated and it's awesome. And yeah, it's just the best thing.
You might have seen it on EQD. They reposted it. Laser-Bone3 recorded it at his house and then uploaded it. So you might have seen that on EQD.
I want to look that up again because I need to see that again.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was phenomenal. The best part about Pone 3's thing was that all the other stuff, all the acoustic stuff, we were right about in the middle of the audience.
Oh, yes.
But during Pone 3's, everyone turns around and looks at the wall behind us, because that's where it's being projected. And everyone is moving toward the front now, which is now the back. And we realize that people are going to get up on stage. So we just
we kind of snuck backwards, which was forwards towards the stage. So by the time it was time for the electronic concert to begin, we were right front and center
on the stage. We were like within 5 feet of Tombstone and Mike the Microphone.
Yeah, and all these people, and it was fantastic.
So it started with Tombstone, right?
It starts with Tombstone, yes.
And he did his thing. He did, and then he did Discord with Odyssey, right?
Yeah, Odyssey was there, and he sang his part on the Discord remix. And John Delancey came out on the stage during Discord, and it was so cool.
I'm fangirling all over again.
Yeah, I know.
So John Delancey comes out, yeah.
And then also during Tomb's performance, Tara Strong and Megan McCarthy, Megan McCarthy is one of the writers if you don't know, get up on the stage and start dancing, along with their kids and stuff. But Tara's getting into it, and I don't know if you've seen any of the videos, but oh my. That plot. Yeah. Like, Tara was working it up there, and it was fantastic. It was just really cool.
And Tombstone did not know that he was dancing with Tara. The next day, we heard from someone. He came up to, who was it? Did he come up to D Notive? He's like, I heard last night that I was dancing with Tara. Did this happen? So after Tombstone was it Alex?
After Tomb was... It wasn't immediately Alex.
No, it wasn't. Omnipony went up at one point.
Omni was after Alex.
Okay. And, there was that one guy who was, like, considered really, like, underrated in the Brony community.
He was lesser known. I don't remember what his name was.
I don't either. But the important thing is, there was Alex S., there was Omnipony, there was... the entire audience started at one point saying a whole bunch of songs from the show, which was a lot of fun. And then Mike the Microphone went on.
Yeah, he was last.
He was last.
He was the final act.
And it was a religious experience.
Oh, Circuit Fry Grooves.
Oh, Circuit Fry and Grooves.
Both did stuff, and what's his name? Silvahound.
Yeah.
Anyways, they were all fantastic, and then Mike was the last one. And actually, Mike did with Tomb during Tomb's performance, did Beyond Her Garden.
Yeah, and Mike's performance, he did the Sonic Rhyme Boom live, and then he did
first he did Pinky's Brew. Then he did Sonic Rhyme Boom.
Then Obsolete.
And then he finished with Obsolete, and Lulz wasn't there, unfortunately, but he did Lulz's part as well, and he
started out by trying to censor himself, but
because by the way, this con was supposed to be PG, so yeah, there was no not safe for work, no Rule 34 ponies, even though Brayburned was there, so all of his safe for work art was there, so all 8 pictures of his safe for work art. But anyways, but yeah. So this was supposed to be a PG con, but then, and during, Mike was also the announcer, so they were trying to keep it, safe. So at the beginning of Sonic Rhyme Boom, he censored it, but then by the time he got to Obsolete, no. And so he does Obsolete and just kills it. And
everyone, and at first he was very nervous. Like, he was obviously
he messed up with Beyond Her Tomb and mixed up one of the verses. He messed up and couldn't finish Sonic Rhyme Boom, and he felt really bad. And then he's like...
But it didn't matter because he was fantastic.
Yeah, and everyone started cheering his name.
And then by the end...
And then Obsolete, he just finishes, and then he just killed it. And he's like... I'm gonna do something very stupid, very dangerous, and backs up, and I'm like, he's gonna stage dive, and then he drops the microphone, and then runs out off of the stage, jumps, and does a dive, and we catch him. We help catch Mike the microphone.
I touched Mike the microphone,
we touched
and
Mike the microphone
him in the air.
And helped him, crowd surf, and then set him down. Shook his hand, and then Jackal comes up with, Grooves and a few other people, and they run up, and Jackal and Mike hugs, and it was the most beautiful moment ever, and Jackal's like, you did so good.
Yeah, it was so awesome.
It was the most beautiful moment.
Now, those of you who saw our last video know that while we were in St. Louis, we bought a fedora with the intention of...
I promised to put on Jackal's head.
Yes.
So I had thrown it at him in his direction because he was off on the sidelines. All the musicians were behind this tape that we couldn't cross.
Yeah.
So I threw it at him, but it didn't get to him. So I'm like, dang it, I have to get this to Jackal. I told him I would. So I am looking for it, and then I find it under the stage. Somehow it got under there, kicked under there, whatever. So I get it. I'm like, okay, where's Jackal? And him and Mike are over there.
Walking off the stage.
Walking down
so
off of the stage.
They're still on the stage.
Yeah. Because they had gone back up there to, I guess, get all their equipment or whatever.
And you jump onto the stage.
I jump over the line and then get up there, and Jackal is coming down the stairs. And I come up behind him and plop it right on his head, and Caleb goes, hey Jackal, and looks over and snaps this beautiful picture of me putting this fedora on Jackal's head.
And you guys can see it.
You can see
it.
It is this.
And he has when this picture is taken, he has no idea there's a fedora on his head. He has no idea that Kage, Lauren, whatever. I'm just gonna call you Kage because that's what we went by at the con.
Okay.
He has no idea that Kage is putting this on his head. So this is just the right moment. Like, I am not a photographer. I do not claim to know anything about photography, but I timed that.
Yes, this
perfect.
was like equivalent of what was his name? Ridiculously photogenic guy type picture taking skills. Like you just oh my goodness. And then after this picture is taken, he's like, wait, what is, oh, and then he realizes there's a fedora on his head, and he's like, this is so
upsetting.
This is so upsetting. And I'm like, I told you. Oh, and before I had written with a Sharpie on it, I'm like, dear Jackal, I told you I would, Kage. And I wrote that on it, and then I stuck it on his head, and I'm like, I told you I would, man. I told you. And he takes it off, and recently he's like, man. And then he just is still carrying it, and then eventually he starts wearing it around the rest of the con. And so
other people see him wearing the fedora.
Other people see him wearing this fedora, and they're like, wait, Jackal hates fedoras. Why is he wearing it? So then they start going up to him and putting, and then we're all hanging out, like everyone is hanging out, like the musicians and whoever's left from Bronypalooza. We're all hanging out outside of the exposition center because they like kicked us out at 2 pretty much. The house lights even came on during Mike's performance because they wanted us to leave. But so we're all just hanging out, waiting for rides, taxis, whatever. And then I turn around and Jackal's like, why is this happening to me? And I look on his head and he's got 4 fedoras stacked on his head with mine at the bottom. And I was like,
and you caused that.
Trendsetter!
And
yes!
the Brony musicians blogged about the fedoras, and you started that.
Yeah.
It was your thing.
If you guys ever saw Tumblr, I think it was Grooves or someone posted the real Bronycon orgy, and then it had 4 fedoras on top. That was me.
That was started by Kage.
Yeah. So I felt pretty special. And then, if you remember what we talked about earlier, the Jimmies.
Ah, yes, the cereal
box.
box. Gorilla Munch. We got that signed.
Yes, we got, after Bronypalooza, we got it signed by, oh yeah, Aviators, by the way. He performed a few songs.
I have a scan of it. I'll just put it up. I don't know all the names on it right now, but we got like...
Aviators performed also during Bronypalooza. I forgot about that. He was really cool. He came down and high-fived everyone. Lots of people did. Mike did too. But yeah, we got Mike, we got Jackal.
Mike on the mic.
Yeah. We got Alex S. we showed first, and he freaked out, because you know how he had that phase of where he posted everything with the Jimmies, and he freaked out, and he signed it, Jackal signed it, Mike signed it. Oh my gosh, we can just show you the scan. It's fantastic.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the best thing. It is one of my most prized possessions.
It really is.
Yeah. What else?
Okay, so that's
after
pretty
that,
much the end of the first day. We got a taxi. We called we're like, hey, and my voice was shot, so we found this other chick who was in the same hotel we were in, and got her. Anyone going to the Sheraton? We've got a big taxi over here.
So we got like 8 people in the taxi,
and it was $30.
So we all split it $6 each.
Yeah.
So
so that was the end of the first night. We ended up falling asleep, like, I don't know.
We slept a little later than we intended to.
It's opened at 10, and we woke up and it was like 11:30, and we're like, crap.
So we got down to Bronycon around like 12, and we're like, crap, we missed the beginning of it again. And then everyone's outside, like no one's inside, and we're like,
what? What's going on?
But it turns out that Princess Celestia was watching over us, and she caused a fire in the building.
I'm sure you've all heard about Bronycon.
Yeah.
And seen the video of the light
catching on fire.
Yes.
So there was a fire in the building.
That's what happened, and we weren't there for that. We had slept in, but we
got the right amount to arrive right on time.
Because right when we got there, they had grouped people up so that it wouldn't be a mass flood in, and we got into a group, and they let people in group by group, and we got there just as they were letting everyone in, so we're like, perfect. We went in like second. Our group went in like the second or third one.
Yeah. So we went in, we bought a bunch of stuff, we had a great time. We
saw The Hour with John Delancey, which was fantastic.
We watched the cosplay competition, and in the official video of the cosplay competition, you can see us in the front row sitting there being awesome.
Yes.
About a ton of stuff.
We watched the first screening of Pony the Anthology 2.
Yes.
Which you should watch that. The whole thing is an hour and a half.
Like hour and a half, but it's well worth it.
It's fantastic.
We saw an hour with the animators. No, not voice actors.
The voice actors, yes.
An hour with the voice actors. We met more people and got them to sign our cereal boxes.
Yes. Insane Foo, if any of you hang out in Mike's stream.
Yaplap. Solrak.
Yes, Solrak or Yaplap, whichever you know him by. Actually, during the closing ceremony of Bronycon, we were sitting there like in the front, but off to the right, like way off to the right. And I look over and I see this orange shirt with Solrak's face on it. You know, his OC pony. I'm like, oh cool, someone's got a Solrak shirt. And then I look up at his face and it's Solrak.
Him.
It's Carlos. You know, I'm like. Dude, Kynes, it's Solrak. And then I get up and, climb over people, and I'm like, hey, Solrak. He's just sitting there, watching. And he's a really chill guy. And I'm like, hey, could you sign this? And I give him the Gorilla Munch, and he's like, sure, man. And he just signs it, and I'm like, oh, thanks. And he's like, come here. And he just gives me a hug. And I'm like, why are you so cool right now?
He signs mine, gives me out, and he's just like the best guy.
He was so chill.
Like he hugged us twice that day. We saw him later.
Yeah,
and he
later
came up and hugged us.
We were getting Omnipony's signature, and Solrak was talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, I'll catch you later, Omni." And then we're like, "Oh, see you, Solrak." And he's like, "Oh, come here, you guys," and gives us another hug, and we're like, "You're so cool." I just love it. I love it.
Yeah.
He was so cool. But during the closing ceremony though, John Delancey, all he does is walk up, and they're by the way, okay, the first Bronycon had like 200 attendees. It was so small, everyone knew each other. Second Bronycon had like 400, and then the last one before this one in the winter had 800. This one had over 4,000 bronies there. So it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
So there are, 4,000 plus people gathered in this place watching, and John Delancey walks up on the stage, and everyone starts cheering and
standing ovation. Before
just,
he says anything, he just walks up on the stage.
And this whole room is roaring, and then he's just looking there, and he just makes a motion like cease and desist with his hands.
Like just
stop.
Just
and
waves his arms, and everyone sits
down,
and
it's
silent.
silent. And then
it just the most perfect thing. Everyone's wondering what he's gonna say, and he just goes.
He says, "I am with you." Standing ovation again. And it was the best thing ever. So many feels.
And then everyone sits down, and he's just standing there for a second. He goes, "You are going to change the world."
And it was just so fantastic how much John Delancey believes in us and how he supports us, because at first, when he first found out about the Brony phenomenon, he was kind of about it, but now that he realizes that for the most part, we're a bunch of good people who, want to make a positive difference in the world.
Just like a kid. We like
a show, but bronies as a whole just want to be nice and make the world a nicer place.
And people will debate that, but by the time this video is over, you will have heard our anecdotes that change your mind. But, anything else that we did at Bronycon?
Yes, there is. Now, Kage's not here for this part of the video because we forgot to do this when we were recording it together, but these are important enough that I figured I'd record it on my own. Sorry, Kage. First of which is, after the cosplay competition ended, all the contestants had gone through, and they said, "Okay, is there anyone else?" And this guy in a Spider-Man costume runs out on stage, crashes the cosplay competition, webs the audience, and then runs away as fast as possible. So, yeah, completion of the old 4chan joke. Get out of here, ponies. This is a Spider-Man thread. Second thing is involving the Spider-Man that we brought across the country with us, and I'll try to be brief because Kage's not here. I don't want to take up too much time. But anyway, we kept this Spider-Man. We felt like we needed to do something with it that was worthwhile. So we gave it to D-Notive, and we went up to him. We got him to sign our cereal boxes, and then we told him that the Spider-Man had accompanied us from Arizona, and we told him about the horrors of the 3-day bus trip, and we gave him the Spider-Man, and he was like really thankful, and he asked us our names and shook our hands. And later Kage asked him on Tumblr if he still had it, and he says, "Yeah, it's sitting on my bookshelf in my room." So we felt pretty cool about ourselves after that. But anyway, I'll let you guys get back to the part where we're both.
Yes, we watched the first 2 episodes.
Yes, afterwards they had... Okay, so someone who... I don't remember. These people provided, this was not planned, I found out. But in front of the exposition center, people, just bronies, that weren't part of Bronycon, brought this giant frickin' red truck that was a YouTube truck that could stream videos from it, and it was hooked up to a PS3, and it had on both sides, it had giant, huge 100-inch screens on each side, probably bigger than that,
enormous,
just enormous screens on the side of this.
It's like a driving jumbotron type of thing.
Yeah, and on each side, and they were during the whole thing they were playing a bunch of music and advertising for other cons or showing just stuff like music. PMVs is mostly what they were showing during the con, and people would go out and they would have dance-offs and stuff. We didn't spend much time outside, but it was really cool. And then at the very end of Bronycon afterwards, a bunch of us, a couple hundred bronies, stayed around and watched first 2 episodes, and then they showed Lesson 0, and then Flim Flam, and then
I don't know. We left after Lesson 0.
After Lesson 0, but watching the first 2 episodes with all those bronies was one of the most fantastic experiences of all time.
Because when you watch a My Little Pony episode alone, you just watch it. But with all these people, every major line, everyone shouts
was so
and claps.
Every time one of the main 6 wanted to introduce, yeehaw, woo, Applejack, you know, and then Rainbow Dash comes in. Oh, here she is, woo.
And then on episode of 2,
Oh,
the second episode, as they're going through the elements of harmony, Twilight Sparkles, you know, like...
You know, represents... And we all go, honesty! Woo! And then the element of laughter! Woo! And we just go through all of them. Element of loyalty! Woo!
Everyone gets up and claps.
And you know, gets up and claps. And
it was so...
And you see Nightmare Moon.
So, we left after Lesson 0. And we were trying to figure out how to get back to the hotel. Because the tram that goes to the exposition center left on the hour. And so we were thinking it would arrive at 8 o'clock to pick it, or was it?
I think so.
Yeah, 8 o'clock to pick us up.
But apparently it only goes till 6,
yeah.
7, I don't
so
know,
we didn't know how we were going to get home. When we're like, okay, I guess we'll get a cab, even though we're low on funds.
Yeah, so...
But we see these guys walking by, and if you watched our other video, we mentioned these 3 guys, the first people we saw when we arrived at the hotel. And we see them, and I go, I think I recognize those people. I think those are the people from our hotel. And Kage's like, no.
And I'm like, I don't think so.
I'm like, I think so. And he's like, no. So I chase after him, and I ask if they're going back to the Sheraton. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like,
oh.
Could we hitch a ride?
Could we?
And they're like, yeah. And we all get in their car and listen to Brony music all the way to the hotel.
And we got in, and they're like, you know, Brony's probably the only fandom that you can trust to get a ride from.
Yeah.
So I'm like, exactly. It was fantastic, and then we got back to the hotel, and we're like, hey, doing anything? So we just, you know, we went to the pool with them and hung out with them, and they had their mods on this site,
Ponyville forums or something like that.
But yeah, I mean, you should check them out.
Yeah.
They were really cool guys.
They were awesome.
And they gave us a ride. It was so cool.
And then we tried to have dinner because we hadn't eaten anything.
Oh, yeah.
And what we did have, we had a whole bunch of Fig Newtons, and that was the last of our snacks from the bus.
And then we had top ramen.
In packs. So not like cup of noodles, just top ramen. And nothing to cook it in. We didn't bring a bowl. So I was wandering around the hotel lobby with this pack of top ramen, trying to figure out if I could, like, get a bowl from the restaurant there, but the restaurant was closed. And I asked the people at the front desk, and they told me I couldn't. So I was just about ready to go to bed, hungry, when this guy walks by, who turns out to be the caterer to a Jewish wedding.
Yes.
And his name is Chaim. Chaim. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, or whatever. But he is a Jewish guy. He's like this Jewish caterer guy. I mean, like, really Jewish. Like, Orthodox Jewish.
Yeah.
And he sees me wandering around with this packet of ramen and starts making conversation with me. And he says, oh, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, we came from out of state for this thing. He's like, oh, what state? And I'm like, Arizona. He's like, you're all the way from Arizona? I'm like, yeah. And he says, oh, wow. So what are you doing down in the lobby with the noodles? And I'm like, oh, well, just trying to find a bowl so I could cook them, but that doesn't seem like it's going to work out. So he's like, okay, give me a minute. And he tries to order us a pizza, but that didn't work. And I'm like, oh, man, thanks, but it's all right. And he's like, no, it's not all right. People coming from Arizona, you know, you have to show them a welcome. And we're like, what? So he's like, I'll be right back. And he comes back with, and like we said, he's catering a wedding.
Yeah. And
he comes back with this plate with 6 pieces of meat on it, each about the size of my fist.
Yeah.
And he's like, these are steaks from the wedding. And we're like, these are from the wedding? He's like, yeah. Here, have them. And we're like,
what? And he's like, make sure you eat them because these aren't cheap. So make sure you eat all of it. I'm like, okay. We will.
Yeah, and we just
thank you.
It was the most delicious meat ever.
So good. It was so high quality.
And we're like, do we need to get you the plate back? He's like,
and you're like,
oh no,
no, just keep it.
We always break a plate, so no one's gonna notice. And we're like, oh my god, you're the best person. So we do that. We keep the plate. We sign it in a Sharpie, and it says the plate that restored our faith in humanity. And we ate that food while watching The Rock on cable.
And all was right in the universe.
Everything was good. So that is the end of our Bronycon story. What's left to talk about is the last bit of important information, which is mostly people like Heim saving our butts.
Yeah.
We have Manuel, who we want to give a shout out to.
Yes, thank you so much.
He gave us, he let us sleep in his dorm at NYU for the 2 days that we spent in New York.
And he bought us all-you-can-eat lunch the second day.
He bought us all-you-can-eat lunch the second day. Just a great guy. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to afford the trip because we were seriously low on funds.
Oh yeah. By the time the trip was over, we were broke.
We literally had like $2.50
in change.
In change. So yeah, definitely. Then on the bus, we have to give a shout out to this awesome lady who we don't know, who it was the last on the way home, finally getting home. There was this lady selling burritos. And we were both hungry, so we were gonna buy one and split it in half. And we start to buy one, and she goes, "Wait, is that your money?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is the last of our money." And she goes, "Dude, you have to have some money in your pocket if you're traveling." And I'm like, "Yeah, but we're almost home." She's like, "It doesn't matter. If you're traveling, you need to have some. You can't have no money in your pocket." So she buys us a burrito, and she was awesome.
Yeah.
And she deserves a shout out. Anyone else who deserves a shout out? Anyone else who helped us out and like made our lives infinitely better?
No, I can't think of anything.
Not really.
I don't know. Just New York is really cool. If you ever get the chance, go there, because
We did the world's largest. We didn't get to see much, but we did get to see the world's largest Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, it was like 3 stories. It was cool.
Like, yeah, it went back into like the center of the earth, and it was awesome.
But yeah, I mean, New York was really cool because we didn't actually really do anything except wander around in the city, and we were never bored.
Yeah,
for,
we just,
you know, the 2.5 days we were there.
It was so much fun.
The underground subway was
so
hellish
we
at
had no
first.
idea what we were doing.
Yeah,
So we were kind of riding the subway the same way someone would like, you know where you watch a movie where someone has to like go through a tunnel and they have to time the like swinging axes so that they can get through on time? That's what riding the subway was like.
For us, that's what it felt like because it was really...
We got on, we had no idea how the stops work or where the stops work, and we were like guessing.
We were trying to read the map, but we weren't sure if we were...
And we were like
right.
using all sorts of like intuitive like knowledge, like, okay, because of the way the lichen is growing on this wall, this way must be south, which means the bus is going this way, which means, okay, we have to get on. How many stops do we have to wait? Oh god, I don't know. Okay, we'll say 4 stops. We have to time it right, so when the door opens, we have to look out and see where we are, and we're doing this, we have no idea what we're doing.
And then we somehow managed to get off at the right stop, and then
which made us feel awesome.
And then we come out, from underground, and it's not air conditioned under there.
And that's the first time we were really in New York.
Yeah.
Once we got out of the subway, because we got off, we took a train from New Jersey to New York, and it ends in a subway hub. You get off the train inside a subway hub. So we never really got out into New York until we got off the subway.
Yeah.
So we found our way around. We got to our destination, and we figured out the subways by the time we had to head back.
And figured out Manhattan too, because Manhattan is just a big fat grid. It's avenues 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by streets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once you figure it out,
we could walk like all day, and then we'd know exactly where we were.
Just, go back.
Yeah.
We ate pizza.
We ate pizza in New York in this little hole-in-the-wall place. It was actually very good pizza.
$1 pizza slices.
$1 pizza slices, but it was like, it tasted good. It tasted better than like pizza here.
Yeah, and again, we were really low on funds, so I mean, we couldn't afford to go to any
like nice
places and have a whole Italian dinner or whatever.
Yeah, but we enjoyed our stay. We had a great time. Met lots of people. We talked to lots of people. It was honestly one of the best experiences of my life.
Yes.
And I have decided that I will be going to Bronycon again
Yes, most
next year.
definitely.
Every year that I get a chance. So, that's canon now. And I would suggest that all of you go to Bronycon because it's growing every year and it really needs to get bigger than it already is because bronies need to inherit the earth.
Correct. But yeah, so that has been our Bronycon experience.
That was our Bronycon experience in a nutshell. It was great. And peace, y'all. Have a good day. Hope you enjoyed this video.
Thanks for watching.
Woot!
Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and
Oh
comment.
God, don't do that.
I'm
Stop.
sorry.
That's horrible. All right.
Yeah, okay, later.